Part 2. Pirate's Bounty Don't Run Away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 11. Luogu couldn't help muttering, the upgrade was successful? There will be times when it won't be successful, right? Everything has its two sides. Where there is success, there must be failure. V. When such a prompt suddenly appears, does it mean that this thing is not % successful? However, although his golden finger can help him improve his strength, it is like a defective product and does not have a more humane introduction. Everything has to be explored by oneself. I really envy those protagonists who, after getting Goldfinger, would take the initiative to explain how to upgrade. Luogu sighed, it's a pity that his golden finger does not have such a function, otherwise it would be so worry-free. Before coming out of the dark alley, Luogu tried to withdraw some money again. The money appeared directly in Luogu's palm, which is not bad. It didn't appear in front of him out of thin air, and then hit the ground with a bang. If it appears from the palm of your hand, even if you have no money in your pocket in the future, you can pretend to have money without being too obtrusive. Not bad. Luogu nodded in satisfaction, and then started strolling around Luogu town. This town is not big, the architectural style is quite unique, and the flow of people is not small, so the streets look very lively. But also because of this, there are all kinds of people of all kinds. Luogu was thinking about two things while walking. The first thing is to stay tonight. This is relatively simple, there are small shops everywhere, but the environment is different. Luogu is not a fastidious person, just about the same. The second thing is that he needs to buy a boat. Whether it's a pirate hunter, or a navy, it's obviously impossible to do anything without a ship. But I wondered all the way, and I didn't see any boat sellers. If I say that I want to develop in the direction of a pirate hunter in the future, it is not good to do the deeds of robbery. At this time, I regretted a bit. I knew, the ship of Misiro, it should be used directly. Of course, this is just talk. That ship was too big, and Luogu couldn't handle it by himself. This matter is considered a top priority for Luogu, but he is not in a hurry. After all, if there is really no way out, he can go to Leicester. Well, when I think about his words, I always feel like I've forgotten something. Luogu shook his head while paying the money to open the room. Forget it, just forget it, it's not an important thing anyway. The room is not bad, especially the sound insulation is very satisfactory, because the place where Luogu lives is a hotel with a bar. The bar is on the first floor, and the guest room is on the second floor. It's so noisy downstairs, you can't hear anything after you close the door. This is obviously a big comfort to the guests. And at night, if you can't sleep, you can go down for a drink or eat something, and the cost is not too expensive. At noon, Luogu had lunch at the bar on the first floor. The boss's signature dish is the lobster curry rice bowl, which is really appetizing. After eating, Luogu rested in the room, pondered over his golden fingers, and then made a plan for the next goal. In fact, there is nothing to say. Coins can improve one's strength, so one's short-term goal is to make money and buy coins. And catching pirates is obviously the best way to make money. Killing the pirate can get half of the bounty on the bounty, and then handing it over to the navy can get the whole amount, which is a huge profit no matter how you look at it. Just, why not twice? Thinking of this, Luogu felt a little strange, especially the setting of getting half of the bounty after killing. It always felt weird. If you don't kill, catch it and hand it to the navy, you just get all of it. Look at it this way, come on, it's not as good as the benefits you get after killing. Could it be that you really want me to follow the killing trend? He couldn't figure out this question for a while. He thought about the next time he met a suitable pirate and tried to catch him. Then this afternoon he spent more time pondering his Zinuelio sword skills. After the upgrade was successful, I really had a better understanding of Xinueliu's sword skills. To use the words in martial arts novels, it probably means that the sword skills have improved a lot. It's just that sword skills are just skills, and there is no improvement in strength. Although the combat effectiveness has indeed been enhanced, the actual strength is still the same. After Luogu summed up the situation, he roughly understood the situation, so, physical fitness is still the most important thing. How much power you can exert does not depend on how powerful your skills are. When Ling Huchong lost all his internal energy, he would lose in sword competitions without using internal energy. But once someone else uses internal power, he will wither directly. Wait. Speaking of power, I remember that I seem to have acquired a skill. Opening the Hunter Qualification Certificate, the only second skill in the skill column is already in sight. Julie. Luogu thought for a while. When he got this skill, he really felt a little different, but he didn't care. Could it be that this skill can improve my strength? If so, doesn't it mean that I don't even need to exercise, I just need to spend money to improve this skill? Forget it, let's try to upgrade to a level next time. I didn't pay attention to it before. This skill basically has no sense of existence. Basically, the short-term plan would not change. Luogu, who had had enough of staying in the room, went to the town to wander around. After strolling around in the afternoon, I did know a few places that sell boats, but it was too late to go there to finalize the deal today, so Luogu went back to the bar before night fell. Boss, a lobster curry rice bowl. The delicious food was delivered to the eyes very quickly, and Luogu was planning to feast on it, eat and go to bed tomorrow, and buy a boat to go to sea tomorrow, when the door of the bar was pushed open with a bang. Luogu felt as if he was shrouded in a huge shadow, as if a giant walked in. I turned around and took a look. The first thing I saw was a pink plaid shirt. Looking up, I saw a big, fat face with freckles. He carried a mace on his shoulder, and a ferocious light shone in his mung bean-sized eyes. I always feel that this guy looks a little familiar. Looking at this big face, Luogu felt familiar. At this time, everyone in the bar had turned their attention to this person, feeling that he was coming with bad intentions. Then someone exclaimed, "It's Arita. How come the big pirate with a reward of 5 million is here? Don't look at her, she will be killed. Someone is wary." Luogu blinked. Arita. It does sound familiar. Speaking of which, does 5 million count as a big pirate? I can't even increase the price of a single skill. At this time, Alrita suddenly smiled ferociously, and asked, "Kibi, who is the most beautiful person in this sea?" Pirate's bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 12. Of course, Miss Arita V. A timid voice came, and Luogu could barely see the reserved appearance of a round-faced boy with glasses between Arita's short and thick legs. Ha 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 ha. An exaggerated laugh came from Arita's mouth, and the mace on her shoulder suddenly turned around and hit the ground with a bang. Then Rogu noticed that the corner of the barkeeper's mouth twitched as the mace smashed his floor. Bastards! Arita suddenly yelled at the people in the bar, "Now, I only give you two choices. First, follow my female pirate Ironrod Arita to sail out to sea and become a real man. Second, become me. The latest soul under the Ironrod doesn't have much time. The disgusting smell of the navy is filling every corner of this town, so you'd better make a choice as soon as possible." The people in the bar looked at each other in shock. It was like sitting at home, and trouble came from the sky. This is inexplicable. Why did a pirate suddenly pop up? And from what I heard, did he come to find my little brother? Suddenly, everyone had different ideas. Some people are frightened and unwilling to become pirates adrift at sea. Some people yearn for it and believe that following a 5 million pirate on the sea is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Some people have already stood up directly. You, You will never succeed. This is Lukio Town. The Navy branch is stationed here, people like you. Halfway through the words, they were replaced by screams. Alrita's huge iron rod had already flown over and made intimate contact with his head. Heavy footsteps followed, and Arita stepped in front of this person. She first picked up the iron rod that had fallen on the ground, then raised it and lowered it. Ah, no, please spare me. Arita did not give up. She raised the iron rod, hammered, raised it, and continued to hammer. In the whole bar, there was no other sound at all, except for the sound of Alrita's falling iron rod repeatedly. Such ferocity, mixed with blood wailing and begging for mercy, made no one in the bar dare to say a word. It wasn't until Arita's hammering came to an end that she let out a breath. Her big mung bean eyes were full of bloodthirsty light. After scanning the whole place, she grinned ferociously. There are already people made a choice, but more people didn't. I would like to join. I do too. We both would. Where would there be a second choice? Even the bar owner raised his hands in the air, expressing his willingness to become Miss Alrita's lackey. Very well, little ones, let's get back on our boat and set sail. Alrita's bloody iron rod was crazily waving in mid-air, and everyone in the bar was in danger, for fear that the iron rod would hit their foreheads. Immediately, they all followed behind Alrita and walked out of the bar. And when they walked out of the bar, they saw a group of hideous pirates surrounding them. Obviously, during the process of returning from the bar to the ship, if anyone plans to fall behind, these ferocious-looking guys will definitely not mind giving you a knife when you escape. Luogu hadn't finished his meal yet, so he was holding half a plate of lobster curry rice and followed the team, eating while running. Next to him was the owner of the bar. Seeing Luogu like this, he was a little stunned. You can still eat. We seem to have been hijacked by pirates. Luogu was running and eating at the same time. Eating, drinking and having diarrhea is a major event in life. You can't miss any meal because of anything. Such an argument was definitely something the bar owner had never heard of, and he immediately felt that there was something wrong with this person's head. With his lowered eyes, he vaguely scanned all the pirates around him. The bar owner sighed softly and muttered silently in his heart, "A bunch of stupid thieves broke in so blatantly. Do you really think the Navy is dead?" While thinking, he seemed to be thinking about a deeper countermeasure, but before the countermeasure was decided, the sound of uniform footsteps could already be heard. Looking up again, the neat Navy has already blocked a street. There was a naval officer standing in front of him, and the rank on his shoulder was Major. "I am Lieutenant Commander Lester. Pirates in front of me, stop right there." With one hand on the sword he carried, Lester's voice floated on the long street, and the cold wind blew his fine hair, revealing his cold eyes. "Well, this idiot is here to steal business." Luogu blinked his eyes. The reason why he ran with Alrita was of course not to follow her to become a so-called man at sea. It's because he intends to wipe out everyone on the Alrita ship. Now this guy suddenly appears here blocking the road. If Arita is caught, shouldn't he drink the northwest wind? 5 million is money. Luogu looked at the spoon in his hand and thought to himself. Go away. With a roar, the plump figure soared into the sky, the mace drew a shocking arc in the air, and suddenly hammered down, heading straight for Lester. As a lieutenant commander, Lester is definitely not an idiot. Although the opponent was coming menacingly, Lester was not at all confused. His eyes flashed coldly. "You are looking for death." The bend of his legs suddenly softened, and his feet suddenly felt weak. Just as the iron rod was struck down and formed into a piece, Lester, who was preparing to use offense as defense, only had time to put the saber across his head and was already kneeling on the ground. Huge force acted on the blade, and the fat face came close to the hateful Navy. With a muffled bang, Lester was directly pressed to the ground by Arita's iron rod. The fat figure suddenly jumped up. With just a sweep of the iron rod in his hand, the neat ranks of the navy were already scattered and messy. "You guys, come after me!" Alrita roared, stepped on Lester's chest, and strode away. Poor Lester, before he could get up, the pirate's big footprints ran over him shamelessly. Occasionally I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure, stepping on him while holding a bowl of lobster curry rice bowl and grabbing it with his hands. Why doesn't he use a spoon? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate's Bounty, Don't Run Away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 13. Shooting. His own major was knocked to the ground with a stick. Watching this group of pirates walk away, how can this be done? Immediately gunshots rang out, and the pirates ran away, but the group of people who were forcibly taken away from the bar, seeing the navy doing this, knew that they could not explain that they were good citizens for a while. Matter. If you run slower, you will probably become an unknown pirate who died on the ground. In order to survive, he could only unleash his life potential. He only resented his parents for giving him 2 fewer legs, and he could run faster than those pirates. The navy was chasing after them crazily, while the pirates and prisoners were running for their lives in front. Occasionally mixed with Alrita's roar and wild laughter, in the blink of an eye, they had already arrived at the port. A small 3-mast sailboat was docked on the shore, and the pirates on board were looking forward to it. Before she even got close, Arita's rich voice was already floating far away. "Pull anchor. The captain is back. Draw anchor and get ready to go immediately." Miss Arita actually shot a group of people from Lukio town. Our team has grown even stronger. The deck was lowered, and Arita stood on the edge, holding an iron rod in her hand and yelling, "Get on the boat, everyone get on the boat." The Marines were about to arrive in a blink of an eye, and seeing that almost everyone was coming up, Alrita didn't care about so many, and jumped on it directly. After all, if the navy is really completely surrounded, it will be difficult for her and her subordinates to retreat completely. The 3-mast sailboat sailed, and the pirates on the deck cheered and roared unbridled. On the side of the ship, Arita looked at the sailors on the shore who were still trying to shoot and laughed wildly in the sky. "Incompetent wastes, remember my name. It will accompany you throughout your life. My name is..." As soon as she said this, she suddenly heard a muffled sound, and her head froze. When she looked back, she saw a young man holding a broken iron pot that he found somewhere in his hand, talking to her. The head was beaten inhumanely. "What are you doing?" Arita was completely confused. What the hell kind of operation was this? Before the anger in his heart could rise, he heard the young man muttering, "Sure enough, people in this world are very capable of resisting attacks. It is indeed a bit awkward to use iron pots and the like as weapons, but it's not so I can kill her." Having said this, he suddenly looked at the iron rod in Arita's hand and said with satisfaction, "Lend it to me." Arita subconsciously hid the iron rod behind her back, and the anger that was about to burst out was reduced a lot. She always felt that the young man's indifferent eyes contained a lot of dangerous information. "No. Don't be so stingy." Luogu made his voice appear quite gentle. "Then tell me first, what do you want my iron rod for?" As soon as Alrita said this, Luogu's left hand was suddenly close at hand. A fierce light flashed in Alrita's eyes, and the mace hidden behind her swung and struck fiercely, about to smash the young man's skull. However, halfway through the swing, he suddenly felt that his hand was empty. Luogu's hand that was about to reach her chest was suddenly retracted, and a hard iron rod was already attached to his right hand. After weighing it, Luogu was truly satisfied. This is a good thing. Whether it's the weight, hardness, or color, it makes people want to stop. "You, what are you doing?" Arita listened to Luogu's words and subconsciously took a step back. However, after one step, There was no way to retreat. Behind him is the side of the ship, and behind it is the sea water. If he falls into the sea water, he can only be caught by the navy. For a moment, he was forced into a desperate situation. At this moment, the only thing we can rely on is the pirates on the deck. However, the pirates are slow to deal with things, especially these little pirates who have long succumbed to their own despotic power. They are used to believing that their captain has the power to solve everything. Not only did he have no intention of coming to help, but he felt as if he was watching a show. He always felt that the next second their captain would beat up this ignorant newcomer. "Nothing, I just want to show you the power of this and the big stick." Luogu laughed, raised the iron rod, and struck it down hard. Arita's pupils shrank, and she suddenly held her head and pushed forward. But as soon as his hands hugged his head, the iron rod fell down before his feet exerted force. Click. The moment his arm suddenly came into contact with the iron rod, there was a sound of bones breaking. Arita was also a tough guy who tried not to cry out, but she exerted force under her feet. Unexpectedly, her body just had a tendency to rush forward, and the huge force came towards her again, and the steps that she had just rushed out suddenly stopped. And the stick hit the head directly, making Yarita's head even more confused. Her body turned around leisurely, and then one hand was pressed on the back of her neck. With a muffled bang, Alita was pressed to the ground. Luogu squatted on the ground and hit her on the head with the iron rod in his hand. After hitting her head, Arita, who was huge and had an extraordinary physique, was knocked unconscious by the blow. This should be considered a catch. Looking at Alrita, who was already unconscious but definitely not dead, Rogu muttered to himself. As soon as the voice fell, a reminder popped up in front of my eyes. Whether to implement arrest. Oh catch. Naturally, there is nothing to ask, so I directly choose to arrest. In the next second, the iron chain that was born out of thin air was wrapped around Alrita's body. Her hands, legs, and even her whole body were all wrapped up by the iron chain, leaving only a big head that was unrecognizable exposed. Outside. Successfully captured the female pirate Iron Rod Arita and received a bounty of 5 million Baileys and 1 black iron coin. I see. Luogu looked at this prompt thoughtfully. So, only by knocking the pirate unconscious and then arresting him can he get the full bounty? Moreover, he can also get a black iron coin as a reward. This is a good thing, worth million each. Just put it this way, plus the million that the Navy will give, a pirate who originally only had million, finally made me a full million in wealth. Ah. So, being a pirate is not as easy as making money as a pirate hunter. Thinking of this, he looked back at the other unknown pirates and grinned. Everyone, would you like to help me drive the boat back to the shore? Pirate's bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 14. It didn't take much time for the ship to dock. After all, it had just left. The navies on the shore originally planned to dispatch ships and chase after the pirates, but everything changed too quickly. Before he could react, the leader of the pirates had already been laid down. If there was anything that could describe their mood at this moment, it would probably be, happiness comes too fast. Under the control of the navy, the pirates walked down one by one with their brows downcast. Luogu stood aside and muttered, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there are only 46 in total. The remaining 13 people, including the bar owner, were all forcibly taken to the ship, but it is not easy to say this now, so I have to go back to the Navy Division to explain in detail. The whole process will be recorded in detail and put into the library. After Luogu finished counting the heads, he also left with the Navy. After tossing around for a long time, he appeared in Lester's office. In the office, Lester behind the desk looked at Luogu with his big footprints all over his body. He didn't speak, but his deep eyes showed what is meant by hesitant to speak. with a sense of "I've seen through everything." Now, it seems that they are waiting for Luogu to take the initiative to explain. After waiting for a long time, Luogu said leisurely, "The total is 520,000 Baileys." What? After waiting for a long time, this sentence suddenly popped up. Lester always felt that he had taken the wrong script. Why didn't this guy follow the normal process? 520000, Luogu said solemnly, "there are 46 small pirates on board, and 5,000 of them are 20,000 in total. In addition, Alrita itself is a big pirate worth 5 million, so the total is 520,000 Baileys." Wrong. Well, I know why you haven't spoken for so long. After all, you haven't received 9 years of compulsory education. Addition and subtraction of more than 10 even includes multiplication. For you, it is indeed a bit difficult. No. I'm not talking about this. Lester scratched his head for a moment. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? Huh? Explain what? Luogu wondered. You don't want to give money, do you? I'll talk about the money later. Lester pointed to the big footprints on his body, then took out a spoon and threw it on the desk. Aren't you going to explain why you don't use a spoon when you eat? Because the spoon was used to hit you, Luogu said with a calm gesture that it was just a trivial matter. Lester's face darkened. So, why did you hit me? You delayed me in catching the pirate, Luogu said. The people that Alrita took to the bar are obviously not all, and the rest are on her pirate ship. If she is caught directly, didn't the pirates on the boat just run away? In order to keep them neat and tidy, it's quite shameful for you to block the way. So it's still my fault, Lester said angrily. Don't you know that even if I catch them, I can immediately turn around and find those guys on the boat? Escape from Lester's hands. Then will you give me back the money? Luogu asked. Why did I give you money when I caught it? Lester asked back. Rogu maintained a polite smile. I rely on. Lester went completely crazy. Do you believe I'm fighting with you? I don't believe it, because you can't beat me, Luogu said. Don't talk nonsense, now you have stepped on your big footprints. If you keep talking to me, believe it or not, I will chop you up with blood all over your body. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Lester stood up and said angrily, I tell you, I am definitely not afraid of you. If the old village chief hadn't asked me to take care of you, I would have beaten you to death right now. I'm looking for teeth on the ground. Wait here and I'll get you money. After finishing speaking, he walked around the desk with a humming sound, opened the door of the office fiercely, stepped out, and the door slammed shut. Luogu thought for a long time, and muttered, so, is this actually the so-called Kangxin? Facts have proved that it is good to know a Kangxin naval officer, because the 6 money bags were quickly sent to Luogu. A total of 1,000,000, 5 bags are full, and the last one is deflated. Luogu looked at it and shook his head vigorously. As a friend, I thought you would fill up this bag for me. We're not friends. Lester's face was black. He didn't want the kind of friend who would lead a group of people to step on him in order to catch pirates. A real step. Oh, then I'm leaving. Luogu said, I will go to sea tomorrow. It is hard to say whether I will come back in the future. If you are here, take good care of the people in the village. Speaking of this, Lester's heart also softened. After all, they all came out of Moon Village. Thinking of this, Lester was about to say something, but Luogu had already turned around and left, muttering as he walked, although IQ is worrying, it should be no problem to take care of the villagers. The door closed, and Lester sat alone behind his desk with luck. After confirming that Luogu couldn't hear the voice from his side, he stood up angrily, get out. At the door of the Navy branch, Luogu came out carrying a bag of money, ready to return to the bar. As a result, he saw a person standing at the door at a glance, looking at the moon above his head very lonely. His old face full of vicissitudes was full of bewilderment. Hey, "Boss, what are you looking at here?" Luogu stood beside him, looked up at the sky above his head, and asked wonderingly, "There is nothing to see in the sky. I miss my past youth." The bar owner's face was deep. "Oh, goodbye." Luogu was about to go back to sleep. "Eh? Wait, wait," the bar owner quickly stopped him. "Aren't you going to ask, what am I missing?" Luogu looked at him expressionlessly. "No plan." The bar owner. Luogu. "Ahem," the bar owner said helplessly. "Actually, I was a pirate before." Luogu thought for a while, and took the iron rod that was snatched from Ulrita in his hand. "Will you go in by yourself, or I will send you in? I have been a good person for many years." The bar owner is going crazy. Is this the reaction a normal person should have? Can pirates be good? Luogu looked suspicious. Pirates' bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 15. The bar owner is a bar owner with a story. His story is actually very simple. In his words, he was ignorant when he was young. He accidentally entered a pirate ship and became a little pirate on the pirate ship, dreaming that one day, you can gain great fame and wealth. As a result, not long after setting out to sea, they encountered another group of pirates. That was his first real face-to-face fight. Blood was flying in front of his eyes, and there was almost no difference between the screams of his companions and the screams of the enemy. Human blood was indeed red, and it was true that he would die after being cut by a knife. During the battle, he passed out, and when he woke up again, he was floating on the sea. He didn't even know how he fell into the sea. Just like this, he floated on the sea, and after more than half a month, he finally arrived at Luogu town. The owner of the bar who escaped from the dead was scared. He knew that the road on the sea was not suitable for him, so he changed his mind and started a new life. After accumulating little by little, he finally opened a bar, which can be regarded as having no worries about food and clothing. Most importantly, he felt safe in this small town where the Navy was stationed. But today, I really felt the fear. To be honest, if it weren't for you, I would definitely experience the nightmare I experienced back then. You know, this is really exciting for me." The bar owner looked at Luogu who was pulling his collar. "So, you can actually let me go? It's been more than 10 years since I became a pirate. Even if you caught me in, you don't get a bounty either." "Goodbye." Luogu let go of him and turned to leave. "No. After listening to what I said, you don't have anything to say?" the bar owner asked with a hopeful look on his face. "No." Luogu yawned. "I'm going back to sleep." "Wait," the bar owner stopped him again. Luogu took back the iron rod this time, and pressed the handle of the knife with one hand. The bar owner immediately raised his hands. "I mean no harm. Give you 3 seconds." Luogu decided to give the lost youth a chance. "Take me to Rogue Town." It took the bar owner a second to tell his true purpose. "Why?" Rogu wondered. "Do you need to ask?" "Of course it's because it's too dangerous here. God knows what else those lawless pirates will do," the bar owner said. "I thought I would be safe in this small place, and the rest of my life I was able to go to the end peacefully. But I didn't expect that I would encounter such a dangerous thing. It's simply too scary. I can't stay in this place anymore, so I must leave here and go to a safe place." "Rogue Town." Rogu blinked and said, "Is it safe? If I remember correctly, that should be the town at the beginning and end. The pirates who enter the Grand Route through that place every year don't know that there are how much. Are you sure that place is safe?" "You don't understand this," the bar owner said firmly. "Roger Town is definitely the safest place in the entire East China Sea. Because that's where Roger was born." "Well, then what?" Luogu asked. "This, Roger is recognized as the Pirate King. Now the founder of the Age of Discovery. Every pirate who goes to find one pai will have a pilgrimage mentality towards that place, but will not cause trouble in that place. In addition, it is near the entrance of the Grand Route. Pirates starting from the East China Sea will never miss this place. Therefore, the naval power of that place is definitely the strongest. As long as you do it honestly there, those who buy and sell will never be bullied by pirates, especially things like today will not happen. Ologogu nodded. Oh. And then, the bar owner looked at Logogu. And go back to sleep, Logogu blinked. Then do you agree or not? The bar owner was about to cry. Why did you ask me to take you there? Go by yourself, Logogu said, you don't know the way. It has nothing to do with knowing the way or not, the bar owner said, although I know how to sail and know the route, if you let me go alone, wouldn't that mean I will die? Do you know where the East China Sea is? How many pirates? You know, Rogu asked back. I don't know either, but all in all, it's a lot. The bar owner said, so, please, take me there. A person as powerful as you will definitely not miss a place like Rogtown, right? So, you are just taking me along for a ride, I promise not to cause any trouble to you. Okay, Logogu said. Please, I. The bar owner blinked his eyes halfway through the pleading. Did I hear it wrong? You just said, okay. You said so much, don't you just want me to agree? I agreed, Logogu said, can you let me go back to sleep now? Yes, but is it that simple? The bar owner looked confused, always feeling a subtle sense of loss. Crazy, Logogu said, you know how to drive a boat? We will set off tomorrow. You will be responsible for driving the boat along the way and taking me to the destination I want to go. Rogtown will be where I will be. The last stop in the East China Sea. When you arrive at the place, you disembark. Have a question? No. The bar owner didn't dare to hesitate for a moment. The guy in front of him not only valued food as his life, but also had a brilliant mind. If he hesitated, he might change his mind in a minute. After finally returning to the bar, Logogu closed the door. After completely isolating himself from the outside world, he deposited all the new income of Million Belly into his Hunter Qualification Certificate. Hunter Qualification Certificate. Holder, Noros Rogu. Skills, Zinuelio LV4, Julie LV1. Coin, Dark Iron Coin 1. Bailey, 148500000. The fraction was taken out by Logogu to stay in the hotel and eat, and now the rest happens to be a whole number. Then he opened the coin shop and bought another black iron coin. There were only 485,000 Bailey left in the balance. This made Logogu suddenly feel as if he had become a poor man. Speaking of which, are these coins too expensive? The most common black iron coins are 10 million each. After that, gold and diamonds have 2 more zeros added after each one. 100-fold increase is too much. Shaking his head, Logogu followed his previous guess and clicked on the plus sign behind Julie LV1, and then muttered, it won't fail, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate's Bounty, Don't Run Away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 16. Facts have proved that Logogu seems to be worrying unfounded. A reminder of a successful upgrade appeared in front of his eyes in an instant, and at the same time, a subtle feeling flooded into his heart. There seemed to be a special force pouring into the muscles and bones all over the body. On the exposed arms, the muscles instantly knitted and the veins were exposed. What can be felt is that all the muscles of the whole body are undergoing corresponding changes. Along with the physical changes, a series of information also emerged in the brain, about the skill of Julie. When the information was received, the changes in the body subsided, and all the muscles returned to their original state, as if what had just happened was just an illusion. But in fact, there are still changes. Luogu stretched out a hand and suddenly clenched his fist. In an instant, his muscles tensed up. He felt that this punch could probably kill Lester. However, it seems that I was wrong. Scratching his head, he originally thought that the skill Julie could improve his physical fitness. But it's not, although the physical fitness has indeed improved. After all, the special effect just now looks quite plausible, but in fact, this is just a side effect. The real effect of this skill lies in the sudden burst of explosive power. It is possible for Luogu to send out a huge blow in an instant, and after the blow, he must stop. The time of the stop may only be 1 or 2 seconds, or even less than 1 second, but it is not sustainable. The effect of improving physical fitness is only to prevent Luogu from being burdened by his weak body and causing injuries when he activates the skill. It seems that if you want to really improve yourself, you still have to work hard. Luogu smacked his lips, but he didn't think there was anything wrong, so he continued to work hard. Moreover, although there is no skill that can directly improve one's physical fitness now, there may not be any in the future. Looking at the remaining black iron coin in the hunter's certificate, Luogu threw it into the Zinuelio after thinking for a moment. Upgrade again, Zinuelio becomes LV5. This time, the information that exploded in my heart was even more different, somewhat mysterious. This gave Luogu a feeling that he had practiced this swordsmanship to the extreme, and he felt like he could do whatever he wanted. After glancing at the words Zinuelio LV5, Luogu decided to sleep. A real man does what he says. When Luogu woke up, it was already the next morning. After washing up, I went down to eat, and saw that the bar was already empty. The bar owner had already prepared breakfast, rubbing his hands and looking at Luogu. "My lord, breakfast is ready. After we eat you can go now." Luogu blinked and didn't know what to say. He always felt that this guy's attitude changed too quickly, right? However, he is a happy-go-lucky person. Although he has his own pursuits, he doesn't particularly care about the side details, so he just nodded and ate. The bar owner stood by and waited, and said, "Last night, except for not disturbing you, I have transferred the other guests to other hotels, not only refunded their room money, but even paid for them. I paid for the hotel, and I didn't sleep this night. I've packed everything that needs to be packed, the car is outside, and we can leave at any time after you finish eating, my lord." Luogu nodded and didn't speak, but he added a lot of favor to this guy with perfect mobility. This guy really does what he says, and won't cause trouble for himself. Well, I hope he can keep it in the future. While I was eating, the cowboy door of the bar was pushed open. A group of uninvited guests just showed up. The owner of the bar was still very angry at first, because the closed sign had been hung at the door. As soon as he saw the person coming, it was like magic, and the anger on his face turned into a smile. "It turns out it's the Navy adults. What do you want to eat or drink? I'll prepare it right away." Lester waved his hand, which means it's none of your business. Then he took a few steps to sit next to Luogu, first glanced at the spoon in Luogu's hand, touched his knee subconsciously, and said, "When are you leaving?" "Let's go after eating." Perhaps because the separation was imminent, Luogu was not irritating Lester. Lester nodded, then waved, and a cowardly figure walked over cautiously. Luogu glanced at it, feeling familiar. "Introduce someone to you." Lester's face was suddenly full of complacency. "This guy's name is Kibi." Luogu nodded. "Has he joined the Navy?" "How do you know?" Lester was dumbfounded. "Well, he's wearing a Navy uniform," Luogu sighed. He really didn't want to irritate Lester, but from this point of view, there was indeed something wrong with this guy's head. "Well, all in all, what I want to say is that although you don't want to join the Navy, it doesn't matter," Lester said. "There will never be a shortage of talents in our Navy. And the only exercise we can get is yours. It is absolutely unimaginable. Look, It only takes a few years for such a weak young man to surpass your strength. And then, Luogu blinked. Then? Then you regret not listening to me and joining the Navy now, Lester said. Luogu nodded. All right then, I wish you success. Damn, is this your reaction? Lester was furious. Luogu thought for a while, and felt that it was really not easy to react when parting was imminent, and then he looked at Lester with emotionless eyes. Stupid brother, live ugly. Lester was dumbfounded. Well, this sentence does seem inappropriate. Luogu thought for a moment and then said, go ahead, your goal is the Sea of Stars. Why do I feel like you're mocking me? Lester asked in an uncertain tone. Don't feel it, I'm just mocking you, Luogu said. I wasn't sure before yesterday, but now, I think, after a few years, you won't even be able to see my back, because you will never will understand the horror of the fraud sealer. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Lester went crazy, and finally realized the pain when little Fair was with Luogu. After struggling for a long time, he coughed, although I don't want to, I still have to say thank you. Because the relationship between the arrest of the two great pirates, Sero and Alita, will be mentioned in my military rank, but it's hard to say how much. Everything needs to be decided after I receive training from Marineford. Pirates' bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 17. Navy Headquarters. Luogu glanced at him. What about Moon Village? I will arrange everything and then go to Marineford to train. When Lester said about Marlon Faldo, his face was full of hope. I will be there, reborn. Well, I wish you success. Luogu took the last bite of his meal, wiped his mouth, and looked at Lester. Leaving? Lester asked. Obviously, Luogu said. Then, well, although I won't be a Navy anymore, I still hope you can live a good life. Lester felt that these words seemed a bit sensational, so he coughed and said, after all, the village chief grandpa still hopes to see you alive and kicking back to Moon Village. Luogu nodded, then you should live well. Lester's face turned dark. What do you mean by then you should live well? Why do you say it reluctantly? Then he saw Luogu continue to stand there and look at him, a little puzzled. Didn't you say you were leaving? Why didn't you leave? Well, I think you should take your person out first. He has to lock the door, Luogu said. The bar owner was holding a big lock and smiling embarrassedly. Lester blushed and hurriedly led the people out. The carriage was filled with the belongings of the bar owner, and there were a group of carriages following behind, with some fresh water and food on them. Lester stood on the sidelines and watched the bar owner lock the gate, and then looked at Luogu, and found that this guy had already boarded a carriage, was folding his arms and closing his eyes, looking isolated from the world. I don't know why, but seeing Luogu like this, Lester felt a little angry. Hey. Luogu opened his eyes in a daze, and looked at Lester with a puzzled face. You are ruthless. Lester was very angry. We will be separated soon. Although we haven't known each other for a long time, we have left a deep impression on each other. Saying a few more words will help dead. Luogu looked confused. Didn't you already say goodbye? Okay, so everything is my fault, right? Lester jumped on the spot angrily. I'm making trouble like a woman, right? Luogu nodded seriously. Holy shit, Lester almost died of anger, and the carriage started to move slowly under the driver's roar. After Luogu and the others completely left Lester's sight, Lester roared angrily, if you have the ability, don't let me touch you next time, or you will hit me every time you see me. Did you hear something? Luogu asked the bar owner. The bar owner shook his head. No, what's the matter? Why do I seem to hear that someone is going to hit me? Luogu rubbed his ears. Forget it, it's not important. Well, we will probably stay together for a few months in the future. What should we call it? Captain, just call me Cindy. Cindy grinned, and the stubble blossomed all over her mouth. Luogu nodded. You said yesterday that you are familiar with the route. Yes, Cindy nodded. Is there somewhere you want to go, Captain? Well, do you know where Ziluabia village is? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. As long as you have a name, you can find the location of this village soon. Cindy was full of confidence. Luogu nodded with satisfaction. Well, I'll leave the route matters to you. Cindy nodded repeatedly, while Luogu closed his eyes again. The reason why I went to Surab village was of course not to find Usopp. It's because Captain Crow is playing role-playing there. If I remember correctly, this Captain Crow is a great pirate with a bounty of 16 million Bailey. According to the characteristics of his golden finger, if he catches this guy, the total profit will definitely be considerable. 216 million is equivalent to 32 million, plus the black iron coin given after he is captured alive, rounded up, it is 100 million. Therefore, Rogu decided to find Ziluabia village first, and then go to Captain Crow to have a good talk about the deal. But before that, there should be other gains. He opened one eye and glanced at Cindy who was sitting beside him. Luogu town is not big, so the port is not far away, and it will arrive soon. Before Luogu opened his eyes, Cindy asked, Captain, where is our ship? Luogu had no choice but to open his eyes and scan around the port, then pointed out, that. It looks a bit familiar. Uncle Cindy blinked. Are you right? No, Luogu said, that's it. But it seems to be the pirate's ship from last night. Well, she was arrested, and the prisoner does not have a boat, Luogu said, so, her boat belongs to me. This matter was finalized before meeting Lester last night. In principle, after a pirate hunter successfully captures a pirate, all the pirate's possessions will become pirate hunter's trophy. Therefore, the Navy did not reject Luogu's request for the ship. Cindy was a little confused, which was different from what he thought. Then he asked, what about the crew? Crew? Luogu thought for a moment, pointed at Cindy and then at himself. Isn't this it? Just the two of us? Cindy was stunned. The two of us, to drive such a boat? It's too big. Well, can't it be opened? Luogu asked. He really knew nothing about this aspect. He was not a sailor before the time travel, and he had no training in this aspect after the time travel. It's not that I can't drive, it's just that it will be very troublesome, and I may not be able to take care of it when I am in a hurry. Uncle Cindy said, there may be various emergencies at sea, such as storms. Once encountered for similar things, just the two of us will be quite passive. Luogu nodded, humbly accepting the instruction, and then asked, what should we do? Cindy thought for a moment and said with a smile, it's okay, let's find a few people to help move things first, and then recruit a few sailors on the pier. It's not difficult, but you need to pay some salaries. And, they probably won't follow you to the Great Route, if your ultimate goal is that. Having said that, he glanced at Luogu's blank eyes, and could only say, leave it to me, I will give you a perfect solution to all this. Then I will leave everything to you. Luogu patted Cindy on the shoulder solemnly, and suddenly felt that it was definitely the wisest thing for him to agree to this guy's request yesterday. It is so troublesome to go to sea. It was all tricked by Luffy. Luogu deeply realized that he was indeed still a novice at sea. Pirate's bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 18. Xind's words should not be exaggerated. Although the East China Sea is relatively calm, the sea is unpredictable and no one can tell what will happen after going out. V. Although Luogu thinks that his strength is not bad, strength alone is not enough. When he knows nothing about the ship, strength alone will not have any decisive effect. So after considering all aspects, Luogu decided to follow Cindy's advice and recruit sailors. Cindy has opened a tavern in Luogu town for many years, and she is quite familiar with this aspect. She also knows a lot of people on the pier, so it is quite convenient to operate. After the luggage was moved up, within a short while, Cindy led 5 people to Luogu. The 5 old men were all tall, short, fat, and thin, and their skin was rough and dark. At first glance, they looked like the kind who lived at sea all the year round, and naturally exuded a kind of scent of the sea from their bodies. According to Cindy, he mobilized his contacts and found a few people on the pier who were eager to find a job. The price is relatively cheap, and each of them has rich sea experience, so they brought them back directly. Luogu glanced at these people, his expression slightly weird and subtle. Then he silently nodded and said to Cindy, "That's it for them." After finishing speaking, he had no intention of chatting with his new crew members. Instead, he went directly to the upper deck, placed his hands on the side of the ship, and looked at the scenery of the port. After several sailors passed the interview, they spent an hour preparing some things they needed to bring on board, and then they got busy under Cindy's command. Who will pull the anchor with whom, who will tidy up the cables, who will pull the sail, and who will steer the helm, Cindy commanded clearly, seeming so familiar. The sailors performed their duties, and Cindy took a compass and began to look at the nautical chart. Luogu stood on the upper deck and had a panoramic view of everything. Seeing the ship sailing away from the port little by little, after Cindy readjusted the direction, the whole ship began to enter the normal speed. The wind blows the sails, and everything is in order. On the first day of the sea voyage, the days were spent smoothly. As night fell, Cindy came to the door of Luogu's room and knocked on the door. Luogu's voice came from inside, "Please come in." The door was unlocked, and Cindy pushed it open, holding a tray with a bowl of soup on it. "I made a bowl of soup for you." "Put it down." Luogu pointed to the table. Cindy put the soup on the table naturally, and glanced at the table in front of Luogu, who was writing something in an open notebook. "If you look carefully, you will find that you don't know a single word." "I wanted to say a few words, but didn't know where to start, so I had to excuse myself." "Then you go to bed early, I'll go out first." "Oh, good." Luogu nodded, and after watching Cindy go out, he refocused on the bowl of soup he brought. "Stir in the bowl twice with a spoon. Are you in such a hurry?" Shaking his head, he picked it up and poured it into the toilet in the bathroom, and washed it away with the current. After finishing, he closed the notebook, then lay on the bed and waited. The time passed by like this minute by minute, and the moon was already in the middle of the sky in a blink of an eye. Luogu felt sleepy and began to wonder in his heart, "Could I have guessed wrong? Aren't they planning to do something today? The reason why I think so is not aimless." In fact, when he saw Cindy for the first time, Luogu noticed that there were 4 lines of writing hanging beside his head. But it was not a famous big pirate, and the reward amount was only 8,000. Strictly speaking, this was less than ordinary unknown pirates. He was an unknown pawn in an unknown pawn, so Luogu didn't take it seriously. It's not that he doesn't like the 8,000 reward the other party has, the main reason is that he has no evidence to prove that the other party is a pirate. It's a bit sinful to argue with the Navy about his identity as the owner of a bar in town for 8,000 baileys. But when the Alrita incident happened, when the bar owner confessed to Rogu that he used to be a Hias, Rogu really planned to bring him into the Navy division. Mosquito legs are also meat, so I don't mind them. In the end, I heard Cindy tell me a very mysterious story. Realizing that this guy might have other ideas, Luogu decided to let it go. Sure enough, the guy behind asked to follow me and asked me to take him there. Rogue Town? Who can believe this? I can't live in the town of Luogu, who is in good condition, and go to Luj Town to seek development without family and business. Just because Luogu Town is not safe, not safe. Can you keep a bar here for years? No matter whether others believe it or not, Luogu doesn't believe it anyway, let alone this guy is a pirate. But Luogu still agreed, no matter if there was any conspiracy or trick, he didn't particularly care about it. Because he is a pirate hunter, when a pirate finds him, it is equivalent to getting money into his own pocket. But what is money to Luogu? That's a black iron coin, its skills, its strength. He really wished that such idiot pirates would throw moths at him every day. So when Cindy appeared in front of him this morning with 5 pirates with bounties hanging on their heads, saying that they were sailors he recruited through his contacts, Luogu was overjoyed. Money can make money. A pirate who offered a reward of found 5 pirates who offered a reward of more than, isn't that money making money? But Luogu still didn't move, nor was he in a hurry. The other party was telling stories to himself, looking for crew members, and moving house. With such a big battle, Luogu guessed that there should be big fish behind. Therefore, Luogu decided to wait patiently. I just waited for a day and half a night, and I almost fell asleep. Why didn't the big fish appear? Luogu yawned silently, but at this moment, the hull of the boat suddenly shook. This caused Luogu to suddenly open his eyes, listen carefully, and various voices began to sound. The sound of planks beating, the sound of ropes breaking through the air, and the sound of footsteps. Luogu nodded in satisfaction. If you don't have enough big fish, you can still use the crew to make it up, not bad. Seeing that the other party was about to come, Luogu felt that he should sit up. What's the matter with the host lying down when the guests come to the door? The sound of footsteps approached from far away, but in the blink of an eye they had already reached the door. This time it was no longer a gentle knock on the door, but a brute kick to open the door. The first one to walk in was none other than Cindy. It's just that this middle-aged bar owner, who looked quite simple and honest, has restrained that simple and honest smile, and replaced it with a smile that is full of wisdom, and there is a gloomy light in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate's Bounty Don't Run Away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 19. Sure enough, a man like you cannot be brought down easily. V. It was Cindy who spoke first. Her voice was still the same, but her tone and aura were completely different. There was some condescending joking, as if Luogu had become a mouse under his claws. However, if I were you, I would rather drink a bowl of soup and die directly than live and suffer. Luogu glanced at him and didn't take it seriously. His eyes were patrolling the door. Why hasn't the big fish come yet? Oh, are you angry? Seeing Luogu's appearance, Cindy smiled softly and said, Actually, I have seen a lot of boys like you. I thought I had some skills, and thought I could gain great fame and wealth in the sea, but in fact what about an ignorant kid like you? As long as you really go out to sea, we will have 10,000 ways to make you die or die. Shut up. Luogu felt a little noisy. At this time, you still dare to speak to me in such a tone? Cindy sneered, to tell you the truth, I have poisoned the fish soup you drink that can kill people. Although your strength is really good, I haven't killed you for the time being, but... While he was speaking, he pulled out a dagger from his back. Poison can kill, and so can a knife. However, since you dare to shut me up because you don't know what to do, I can't let you die easily. Cindy came to Luogu with a dagger in his hand. I'll break your tendons and feet first, and then ask you to hand over all the bounties you got from the Navy Division. As he spoke, he stretched out a hand to grab Luogu's hand. But Luogu grabbed his wrist with a backhand. He was taken aback, but then smiled grinningly. This will not change, AHH. Before he could finish speaking, a pitch-black iron rod fell from the sky, and with a muffled bang, Cindy lay flat on the ground, his limbs stretched out, foaming at the mouth, and his toes twitching. Luogu still looked at the door, and a person just walked in at the door. A man wearing a captain's cloak, a pirate hat, and a blindfolded eye. It's just that when this guy came in, he saw the scene of Luogu hammering Cindy over with an iron rod, and without saying a word, he turned around and left. Luogu blinked. What the hell? Why did you run away? I am a child who has been poisoned by poison. A pirate on the sea, shouldn't he be a man on the sea, shouldn't it be to welcome men? Why did you just run away when you saw a little difficulty? Immediately he jumped up, landed directly on the ground, and shouted loudly, "Don't run away for the bounty." "Oh, no, it's a pirate, don't run away." He had already chased him out within 2 steps, and as soon as he reached the door, 2 steel knives struck from both sides. Luogu took a step back, suddenly swung the iron rod in his hand, and slammed it down on the right wall in front of him. With a bang, the wall was broken, and the pirate behind the wall spurted out a mouthful of blood, lying on the ground twitching, seemingly dead. My $5,000. Luogu felt distressed, and after getting out of the hole in the wall, he glared at the pirate on the other side of the door. "Stand, don't move." This stick broke the wall and killed people. The power was really shocking. The pirate really didn't dare to move for a while. Then I saw the iron rod fall against my forehead, and I turned around twice before fainting, but I was still full of anger. I didn't move. "I knocked you out because you didn't move, but if you moved, wouldn't you kill me?" Luogu weighed the iron rod in his hand, and felt that it was still quite unfamiliar to use, and it was too easy to kill people if he couldn't control the strength. "I can only practice more." After Luogu muttered, he ran towards the hatch. His speed was extremely fast. The hatch had already been opened by him in a blink of an eye, and when he jumped out, he saw all pirates on the deck and on the side of the ship under the darkness of night. The boat is not big, so it looks crowded. At the same time, I heard an order: "Shoot." A round of shooting. The black spots all over the sky have already reached Luogu. Crazy Moon 131 styles. People seem to be stagnant for a moment in mid-air, and the next second is like a silver moon tilting, and the sky is filled with light and shadow. Although it is only for a moment, it condenses like eternity in an instant. The pirates in front of me may have never been out of the East China Sea in their life, and they have been wandering around this 3-acre land for a long time. When have they seen such swordsmanship? I was stunned for a moment. But I heard cracking like rain hitting plantains, black spots all over the sky falling from mid-air, slapping on the deck. The sound is so crisp and pleasant. The pirate captain on the opposite side suddenly shrank his pupils, because he had already seen clearly what was falling from the mid-air. Bullet. All the bullets fired just now were cut in half by the young pirate hunter in front of him, and then fell from mid-air. What kind of monster is this? The pirate captain roared madly in his heart, and scolded Cindy 1,000 times, 10,000 times, but at this moment the words came to his lips: "Run." With a hoarse roar, he turned around and ran away, only hating his parents for losing 2 legs. However, the next second, the running captain suddenly braked with both feet. He tilted at a degree angle, and his feet were rubbing against the ground until they were almost smoking. Because Luogu, who was still in mid-air just now, had blocked their only way out at some point. Not only that, Luogu's black pill had already been sheathed, but what he was holding in his hand was a pitch-black iron rod. He grinned grinningly. "Everyone, listen to my advice, don't move." How is it possible not to move? Not to mention those little pirates. The pirate captain was also swishing his eyes around, looking for a way to escape. But before they could think of a way, they heard Luogu's deep voice: "Crazy Moon 131 styles." Only this time, what Luogu held was no longer the black pill, but the iron rod of the Alrita brand. In the next second, an extremely shrill scream resounded through the entire sea. When everything was calm, Luogu sat on the deck and watched the group of pirates who were beaten beyond recognition. He had just counted the number, including Cindy and the 5 who had boarded the boat this morning. There were 56 people in total. The only thing of value is the captain. A little pirate leader worth 3 million. To be honest, this made Luogu a little unhappy. He originally thought that Xinde would be able to attract a big fish to him with so much effort, but it turned out to be just a small dried fish worth 3 million. What a disappointment. Then he set his sights on the pirate ship they were riding on. I wonder if there will be any good things on it. Pirate's bounty don't run away. Author, The Desolate Little Purity. Chapter 20. Although it's not a big boss worth paying attention to, after defeating it, there are still a wave of boxes that can be touched, which makes Luogu feel a lot happy. V. And after pondering for a while, he suddenly realized that when Meselo attacked Moon Village, he didn't seem to go to the boat to touch the box, did he? When Alrita went to Luogu town to snatch people, she didn't seem to touch the box. After thinking about it like this, how much have I missed? Especially when Luogu found the warehouse on the ship and opened it, his heart ached even more. Not because there is nothing in the warehouse, but too much. Box after box of gold, silver, and jewelry, gold coins scattered on the ground, and many weapons inlaid with precious stones. Luogu was stunned for a moment. If he hadn't known that this was a little pirate's ship, he would have thought he had found one pie. What is the purpose of the age of discovery? Wealth, fame, power. What is the purpose of the successive pirates? Although there is no shortage of idiots like Luffy who are only as good as One Piece, most people only want wealth, followed by fame and power. What is placed in front of Luogu now is wealth. Only. Is this a bounty? Luogu fell into thinking. He must know that when he received the bounty before, his golden finger reminded him that there is a new bounty that can be credited and not there is new wealth that can be credited. In other words, your golden finger won't only recognize the bounty and not anything else, right? Whatever, the bounty can be used to buy coins. If these trophies cannot be recorded, they can be spent. It is a bit troublesome to deal with these things and exchange them for Bailey. In the world of One Piece, Bailey is the universal currency in the world. Except for Sky Island, which is called Ixtal, Bailey can be used to buy and sell items in other places. Whether these are gold coins or gems, if you want to spend them normally, you must first exchange them for Baileys. He knelt down and reached out to grab a handful of gold coins. The tangible feeling was really intoxicating. But before Luogu indulged in it, the reminder of the arrest warrant appeared. Luogu glanced at this prompt, glanced at the gold and silver jewels around him, and then chose to exchange. He knew very well what he wanted. Wealth. It is not difficult to obtain wealth, as long as the strength improves, as long as the pirates are caught, he will have plenty of money. Therefore, no matter how intoxicating the wealth in front of him is, Luogu will not fall into it and be unable to extricate himself. Rather than saying that he likes money, it is better to say that he likes the improvement in strength that money brings. Wealth, fame, power. For Luogu, wealth is power, or in other words, only by investing the wealth in front of him in his own strength can he earn more wealth. Power will follow. So, the vortex of being addicted to money cannot be extricated? Non-existent. Luogu's choice did not hesitate at all. But the wanted warrant hesitated. Special value. Luogu blinked his eyes, didn't rush to make a choice, and started rummaging through boxes and boxes. Since the arrest warrant thinks that there are some special value loot in it, they can exchange it directly without looking for it. What should I do if I lose money in the future? Although there is a lot of wealth in the warehouse, it is not so hard to find, and most of them are exposed. If there is any special value, it is probably hidden in the box. Luogu opened the boxes one by one. The first box contained some weapons and ammunition, the second box was full of gems, and the third box was opened. There was still a box inside. It's just that the box inside looks more refined. Luogu took out the small box, opened it, and a fruit with a strange shape appeared in front of his eyes. Devil fruit. Luogu touched his chin, wondering where did these little pirates get such things from. I took the devil fruit out of the box and weighed it in the palm of my hand. It was quite heavy. The shape of this fruit is oval, a bit like a cantaloupe, but it is smaller, and it is surrounded by layers of lines, which looks quite hideous. Luogu didn't have much research on devil fruit, and he couldn't tell what it was just by looking at it. After a final thought, I put it back in the case and chose no in the selection. The value of a devil fruit is difficult to estimate. This thing is indeed a special value of loot. It would be a bit reckless to exchange it directly for bounty. So keep it for now. As for whether to eat or not, this question will be entangled in the future, and now Luogu does not intend to eat a devil fruit so easily. It is said that a person can only eat one devil fruit in his lifetime, which is something that needs to be carefully chosen. Blackbeard, the old silver coin, has been hiding for 20 years for a fruit, and even did not hesitate to kill the companions he spends day and night with. This shows the fruit's potential. The importance. Putting down this thought, Luogu saw the surrounding gold, silver, and jewels disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. But in a blink of an eye, apart from some empty boxes in the entire warehouse, there were only the devil fruit in the alley in his hand. When this prompt appeared, Luogu couldn't help but grin, and it got bigger and bigger. Ha 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 ha. Even a person with his personality couldn't help his excitement at this moment, and laughed wildly. Coin shop. The second the laughter stopped, Luogu opened the coin shop directly. With the more than 9027000 million bounty in his account, he already had belly, which was almost million. Suddenly rich, of course there is nothing to say, just buy, buy, buy. After buying 5 black iron coins in one go, he directly opened the hunter card, and clicked on the plus sign behind Zinuelio LV5. When he was promoted to LV5, Luogu felt that when he used Zinuelio again, he had a very wonderful feeling, a kind of carefree and unscrupulous joy. Just like tonight, in that kind of flash, Luogu's precise control to cut every bullet in front of him was brought by Zinuelio LV5. When he was in Moon Village, Luogu's Hang couldn't control the move of Mad Moon 131 so accurately. Otherwise, none of Misiro's men would have survived. Now he is eager to know how powerful Zinuelio can exert if it can be upgraded to LV6. However, it finally appeared. Looking at this reminder, Luogu's brain instantly calmed down, thinking deeply. The first time he saw the upgrade successful prompt, he suspected that one day he would fail to upgrade. Now, it really appeared. Is there a chance of success? Luogu was thoughtful, glanced at his balance, and then looked at the remaining 4 black iron coins, and then clicked on the plus sign of Zinuelio again.